Okay, great. Queen Tone.
Queen Town.
Oh
Did I do
gosh,
it
that
right
was
this
so
time?
loud. Yeah, I guess.
I can
That
turn
was
them up.
loud, so I guess it was good.
It's good.
No,
Your
continue.
ears work. Queen
Okay, now
Town.
Dana, now you can tell me about your week. Because Dana was talking to me like we was
Queen
friends before she hit
Town.
record. And I just don't understand why you would be telling me about your week before we hit record. That
Because
just
I was
did
thinking,
not.
I don't know what the fuck I was doing, what I've been doing since the last time we recorded.
Listeners. Every week we've been doing this show. We wait until we hit record to ask, how was your week?
I didn't know
Dana
this was
telling
a
me all
behind the
this
scenes
stuff.
episode.
It is always because I'm always gonna blast you at the beginning for doing something wrong before
Like,
we hit
damn.
record.
Yeah, but the thing is, the stuff that you do wrong is too embarrassing for me to say. It would be
Oh yeah,
unsisterly.
absolutely.
So,
Oh, absolutely. Be
because I do some mediocre dumb shit, it gets blasted.
Yes.
That's fine.
Yes,
It's
there's
fine.
a double standard here.
It's fine.
It
It's
is
fine.
what it is.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
I love
Um,
it.
Welcome. It's another week. It is the third to last week in December in 2020. I just want to put out a friendly reminder that nothing is going to change on January 1st.
Damn, nothing. People.
I mean, it's gonna like
dreams.
the calendar is going to change, you know, like it's probably gonna be a moon and a star and some other zodiac sign or something like
Yeah.
that. But like, I feel like people's like 2020, once 2020 is over, we just gonna wake up and
Shit
like it's gonna be
different.
January
No.
32nd, like or December
Right.
32nd. Like it's not
For
going
real.
to. Just brace yourselves, you know. Brace yourselves.
Yeah,
Or level set.
You know
level
that
set.
meme. You know that meme that's usually the girl with the high bun and she's walking from like one year to the next and she
Yeah.
usually has something in her bag. So I saw that this year and it said like brunches and something. I was like, where are y'all going? There's no brunch in 2021. I mean, I know some of y'all are still brunching, but that's not happening.
I saw that one, except she was walking back to 2019.
No.
Like with the same shit in her bag. Like,
Like,
we're going to try this
look,
again.
We're going to try this again. It is what it
yeah.
is, though.
Yeah, so how was my week? It's the week before, like, I'm off for the holiday, so I guess that's nice. It's a
You
little
be
bit
having so much off time.
quieter. I know, like, I'm very, very thankful, very blessed of moving to another company this year. And, like, them being a large, not pusher, but pusher of, like, mental health days and all that. So I definitely take advantage of all of that. I also
wish.
this year I also have a lot of days because I'm not actively saving my days for vacations. So I'm just using them of like I need time off, I need whatever. So in that sense, like if the world was open, I probably wouldn't have as many because I would be saving for like a 3-week
Yeah.
vacation or you know somewhere else. But now it's like I got
My
days,
ass.
so I'm gonna take
The
them.
government don't care. They give you like 7 hours a week or something.
I also don't
7
work for
hours
an
every
American
paycheck.
company too. So other countries,
that
you know,
helps.
care a little bit
They
about
actually
their
care.
their citizens. You know, making sure they breathing at work and you know stuff
Yeah,
like
all that.
that. The luxury, you know.
So tell me what you were watching since you were so ready to tell me before we started recording.
I already said it. So no, I was watching The Wilds. I binged it. It's on
Yes, it was so
Amazon
good.
Prime. It's 10 episodes, kind of a drama, suspense, kind of who done it.
It's
what's
like
going on.
Lost meets what's a Gossip Girl or
Yeah,
like
but like a deeper
something
Gossip
teenage,
Girl. Yeah.
like some teenage drama, like the OC or some shit. I don't know.
It's definitely more drama, less like glamorous. But it's essentially like 9 teenage girls end up on this island. A plane crashes. They end up on this island, and then they're trying to like survive because they didn't know each other prior to
Right.
getting on the plane. Most of them didn't know each other prior to getting on the plane. They're trying to survive, but then you quickly realize it wasn't a spontaneous
It's not.
crash.
Yeah, it's not. I think they even say that in the trailer because the parents come on and were like, "We feel bad lying to our daughter." That's in the trailer.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
and from the trailer, you kind of get like, not everything is what it
you
seems
think
to be.
and even when you
Yeah.
think it's what it seems, it ain't really what it seemed.
Yeah.
So
it
you
was
try
actually,
to
it was actually pretty good.
yeah, I like that it had a good like I guess the girls were at 17, 18. I feel like there was a lot of different characters and like because it's episodes you get a background into the characters and like their origin stories in a sense. But I like that it was very different types of girls, and you can kind of see almost like the not so glamorous side of like teenage girlness and the shit.
I feel like they weren't just archetypes of like I'm a bully and I'm somebody who gets bullied. Yeah, like it was like people I know. And I see people like, oh yeah, that's similar to so and so, and that's similar to so. Like it seemed very real as far as high school experiences and personalities go. Yeah,
they also had Native American characters, and I feel like I rarely see that in TV shows. Like they had black, they had white, they had like the what you would normally see. Yo, let me make sure I get one of this, one of that. But two of them.
Oh, I think she was Indian. Yeah, I think I looked up the actress, but I don't know if
she
they
was
said
in something
what her
else
race
because she looks familiar.
Grey's Anatomy. She played a doctor. She played a doctor on Grey's Anatomy. I saw that in her bio because I was like, who are these people? They're all like 25, playing teenagers. The black girl who plays Rachel. Do you watch Snowfall?
Yeah, but I don't think is that his girlfriend?
Yes, that's Wendy.
Really?
Or is that her name? Yes. I don't know if they put acne on her face. I think they did. They made her look like a different person.
Yeah.
But that's her. I Googled it. I Googled all of them because I was obsessed. The Native American girl is from Canada. She's indigenous from Canada.
Tony?
No, Martha.
Oh.
I don't think Tony was indigenous. Yeah, I don't think her character was indigenous.
Yeah, they made fun of being like saying she's from the Reds and stuff, and like even their high school was mostly.
I think they were just calling her white trash because remember on the plane, and this is not giving anything away, but she was saying like, "Oh, I always have to defend your people." Remember she made that comment because she was more upset about something about Native Americans than her friend Martha was. So I think
because they went to the same
she was
school.
White trash. Yeah, I think because it was in Minnesota. They're both from Minnesota. So I think it's just like an Indian reservation or like, a lot of Native people in the same area. But they're very poor.
Yeah, one character. I thought it was both of them. Yeah, but it's good. I didn't realize I was binging the whole thing until I looked up and I had 2 episodes left, and I was like, now I'm committed.
70, like, damn.
Now I'm committed. And I'm like, I need to figure out what's going on.
Now,
had a nice little cliffhanger.
Some stuff didn't make sense, and we'll talk about this off air because I don't want to spoil it for anybody.
Now you want to talk outside the podcast. I'm busy.
Yeah, there was 3 things that did not make sense, and I feel like in a few weeks, I feel like it's fine to talk about it because you ain't watched it. That's on you. Yeah. But there was one, and I was like, this don't make
glaring thing that was wrong to me. That was like, I feel like it makes the whole story not.
Oh yeah, we'll have to talk about it. Yeah, because I want to. Yeah, but anyway, I thought it was good, and I'm ready for season 2.
Yeah, that's the one thing about these shows when they put them all out and then you binge. It's like now I have to wait a whole year for it to come back. That's how I felt about You on Netflix. I literally binged it, and I'm like, now I have to wait.
Now I have to wait. Literally, like a year and a half. And everything is slowed down on production. So, like, all my favorite shows aren't even back yet.
Yeah. Or they throw a couple. I feel like we had a few. I don't know if you watched This Is Us. They had a few new episodes of This Is Us. And now it won't return until, like, January. So. Yeah.
And Good Trouble was in the middle of filming, I think, when COVID started. They haven't filmed yet. I mean, like, it's on... Good Trouble is a sequel of The Fosters.
Oh, okay.
I had binged. That's part of. I binged it during quarantine. First, I watched Good Trouble, and then I went back and watched all the seasons of The Fosters. So fucking good. And you know what I also did in the last month is binge 12 seasons of Big Bang Theory.
That's a lot. That's commitment. What is that? 22 episodes. They 27 minutes each.
23 episodes per season. I'm impressed myself.
That's
literally every time I turned on the TV, I was watching Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, that's crazy. The biggest binge like that I've ever done was Lost. like right after undergrad, back before streaming was a thing. So I was like watching on broken websites. I think, did I order the DVD from Netflix? Because I was definitely like a member who used to order DVDs from Netflix.
Yeah.
But I binged it in like a week or something. I think it was 7 seasons of it, and literally was having nightmares or dreams, nightmares, a little bit of both.
Dreams, yeah, I do that too.
About the show. Like, it was one particular instance. I came home, I was staying at my parents' house, and my mom walked in my room. And I was at college, so I'm not used to people just walking into my room, walking up on me. And she, like, what I felt was a grab. She claims it was a hug. Attacked me in my sleep.
Attacked you?
Because I had been watching, and
So
I thought
dramatic.
she was, like, in the show attacking me as if I'm sleeping on an island. So, like, that was
I don't know, your
my
mama
head
ain't do no
was.
such thing.
No, but I was in survival mode on an island for the immersed in that life. So you just can't walk up on somebody like that.
And I know she listens to the show, so I'm defending her to the end.
Yeah. I mean, she wasn't having it. She probably smacked me back for thinking I was being your ass ain't being kidnapped.
I know, right?
But yeah, that was my last true like long binge.
Yeah, I'm starting to run out of shit to binge, but all right. First, let's talk about queen shit. So we have Marsha L. Fudge, who is a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. She has just been nominated, clearly not confirmed yet, but she will be the HUD secretary. You know, for those of you who know me very well, you know I aspire to be the HUD secretary.
What is HUD?
Housing and Urban Development. It is that is a cabinet seat. If you watch, what is it called? Soul Survivor, Designated Survivor. Everybody always plays. I will do agriculture. Does that get more respect than HUD? I don't really know. I would say they're neck and neck, but people always like, what does HUD secretary do anyway? We are very, very important to the social fabric of America, people. And I aspire to be HUD secretary because I am an urban planner by trade. Although I don't think Marcia L. Fudge is a planner. In fact, 2 weeks ago, she had said in an article, like, she had criticized, because a lot of black people that end up being cabinet members end up being either a cabinet member of HUD or labor. So she was like, they need to stop putting black folks in HUD and labor, and actually, like, there's lots of talented black people that can do other things, and she was nominated for HUD.
Marsha said that, and then
she said this in an interview, yes, 2 weeks ago, before this news came out. And then that must have been a very awkward conversation with President-elect Joe Biden. But she's not wrong, and in fact, she was on the subcommittee. This is about to get real nerdy in government. But in the Senate, she's the chair of she's the chair or the co-chair of the Agriculture Committee. So it would have made more sense for her to be Agriculture Secretary, and she would have been the first black woman to ever been Agriculture Secretary. But they still put her in HUD, which goes back to her comment that all they do is give black people HUD and labor.
Who isn't Ben Carson the previous one?
Yes. And then Julio Castro. Julio Castro. Is that the guy who ran for president? He was HUD secretary, so he's a Latino man. And then it's just been, and then we had another soror who was also HUD secretary. Her name is Patricia Roberts. She is a soror, Delta Sigma Theta, and she was the first black woman to be HUD secretary in the 1970s. Don't quote me. But you know,
well, they carving space for you. You know,
it is, because funny. I actually want to be HUD secretary though.
Yeah, my mama texted me like the little announcement on Facebook for Marsha, and was like, "Oh my gosh, she took Nina's job." I'm like, why do you know that? But yeah, she did.
She did. It's fine. Keep my seat warm. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a little too young. I'm only 30. Nobody's gonna give me a cabinet seat before probably like 40. So I got time. It's fine. So that's our queen shit for this week. Shout out to her, even though she criticized the job before she got it. But I get it. You gotta take. I'm not turning down no cabinet job anyway.
I talked that shit. I said it too as I walked to this job. I said it.
What an awkward conversation for that to have been the news and then you were announced as secretary. But anyway, I digress. So this week's topic, we're kind of, going a little free form today. Something that Dana and I have been talking about lately is just the difference and what it means to have self-esteem, self-worth, and self-confidence, and how they are different, but also how they feed on each other. And so I was specifically thinking about this week for the show because, and Dana, let me know if you've heard this about Cassie. Have you heard Cassie's pregnant again with her second child with Alex Fine?
Mm-hmm. Did he congratulate her or something? Was it something like
that? He may have, but there were some people online who were saying oh, see, Cassie was wasting her time with Diddy. Now she's in a great relationship. She's married. She has 2 children. It's great. And then other people were saying, what do you mean she wasted her time? She was young in her 20s and was dating a billionaire. And then she saved money, used his money, and now she married the man of her dreams. And she did it didn't mean that she was wasting her time.
She had a mildly, somewhat may consider successful R&B quote unquote career just because she was dating him.
Right.
I'll be a pop star if I'm dating you.
And she cannot sing, girl. She cannot sing.
No, it wasn't for talent. It was for proximity to Diddy, which,
and she's gorgeous.
Okay. Yeah, right. Okay. That led to movies. That led to, I don't know. It seems like a fun time.
So I'm surprised there probably was a Clubhouse room about this, but so people were basically debating did she waste her time? Did she not have self-confidence? Did she not have self-worth when she was with Diddy, or did she have self-worth when she was with Diddy? And now she's moved on and has the life that she wanted. So that was one example, and then the second example of thinking about your self-worth specifically, and of course we're talking about the context of Black women.
Always
was Tiffany Haddish, because Tiffany Haddish made the news this week because the Grammys offered her a job to host, but they offered her the job. It was no booking fee. It was no hair and makeup money. It was basically do everything and come as you are. In fact, pay us to put you on to help us host the Grammys. And so that's another debate when people were you got to know your self-worth. Some people would say, oh, why was she turned on the Grammys? Why, that's a good opportunity to get her name out there, blah, blah. And then other people with sense are saying, why the fuck? I'm Tiffany Haddish. Why would I not have a budget and a fee for my services? Why do you Grammys think that you can ask me to do something for free?
That was I don't know if you've seen a video from, I think she's a British blogger or maybe a writer. Her name is Kalechi Okafor. The video about I'm not a grateful Black woman. I don't have to be grateful to be in your presence. And her word gymnastics, which is perfect of what do you mean exposure? I wear sunscreen. I don't need exposure. You were exposed to me. Therefore, you should be grateful for the divine divinity that is me sitting at this. And it was you are absolutely right. Don't pay me for, it's Tiffany Haddish. You know who the fuck she is. And for you to have the audacity to walk up to her and say you're going to do this for free? You looked in her face and to say that is
that's absolutely crazy.
That's ridiculous. I think for me, my thought, so I didn't hear about Cassie, but I heard about Tiffany. But for me, similar to Clubhouse, because now that's my free time these days. But thinking about a lot of the conversations, and the conversations may be tied to marriage or relationships or whatever. But then when you kind of get down to it, it's wait a minute, does that person, you're dating someone who has low self-esteem. And so all of these other things then show out because of it, or insecurities or things like that. So even the thought of we can be whole adults and still lack these fundamental self-worth, self-esteem, self-confidence, and how that can be displayed. And it's almost if you see someone without it, or you see someone who definitely has it, it's almost blinding in a way. So for me, it was kind of that, how as an adult, if you don't have those things, how do you define them? How do you work on them? How do you build them? Or are they just kind of ingrained in you, and there's no chance for growth in improving those. Or if you see them as three completely different things, or kind of intertwined in that.
Yeah. So how would you define the terms like self-esteem? Like, what makes that different from self-worth or self-confidence?
So I did some Googles. I'll give Google definitions, and then we can kind of discuss like our definitions, because mine don't necessarily align with Google.
Align with that.
Or the internet's. So self-esteem is used to describe a person's overall sense of self-worth or personal value. In other words, how much you appreciate and like yourself. Self-esteem often is seen as a personality trait, which means that it tends to be stable and enduring. For self-worth is a feeling that you are a good person who deserves to be treated with respect. And then for self-confidence is an attitude about your skills and abilities. It means you accept and trust yourself and have a sense of control in your life. You know your strengths and weaknesses well and have a positive view of yourself.
Okay. What were your big things taking away from that? Like starting with self-esteem, what did you think about that?
I think self-esteem is a lever to your self-worth, but I feel like self-esteem can be fleeting. It could depend on a mood or shit. As a woman, your hormones, like how you feel about yourself at a certain time, depending on something. Like, and it doesn't have to be like detrimental. So I think of, like, I can't think of the last time I got my eyebrows done. So yes, if I take a picture, it's like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna take a picture of my eyebrows now. But do I think less than? Do I think I'm less beautiful? It's like, it's not that deep. Like, it's just at this moment, I'm not gonna take a million. So like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think for self-esteem too, kind of like Cat Williams, it's esteem of your motherfucking self. You have to look into yourself to determine it. So I think it could either be, and there can be external factors, but it's deeply rooted in like what you think, and not only what you think, but what you believe about yourself. At that moment, things can be fleeting. When I think of self-worth, I think that is kind of more aligned to the definition of like what you deserve and what you're entitled to. And I feel like with self-worth, that's kind of like a stake in the ground almost, of like, I deserve happiness. I deserve to be treated like a human. I deserve to be respected, like whether my eyebrows are done or not, like whether how I feel about myself or whatever, like I'm entitled to being able to choose and having my, having autonomy and being able to have agency and be like, to me, that's what self-worth is. And that doesn't really shift. It can, but I feel like it has to be
it's like the foundation. Like if it was a house or an umbrella, because a house is weird, but like let's say you put an umbrella in the sand, like the anchor that's holding the umbrella down to me is your self-worth. Like that. Yep. If you don't have the foundation of self-worth, then it's going to affect your self-esteem and self-confidence.
Definitely.
And so I think I've always had. Well, and it also depends on the topic, right? Because in my career and in life, and my friends, I've always felt that I deserve the best. But I am a quote unquote good person, and I, and I don't shit on people, and I don't, talk bad to people. I mean, I'm shady, but I'm fundamentally like a good person. Like I've never gone out of my way to hurt anybody. Blah 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 blah. Right? Whatever you consider yourself as a good person. So therefore, I'm like, oh, I deserve, and I've also suffered. Like I've suffered in this world, and so I feel like because I've suffered, I always have an outlook of that suffering has made me a better person, right? Because I treat people the way I wish I was treated. You can be empathetic, therefore it's like, I'm more empathetic, I'm more understanding, and so that helps my self-worth too, because I'm like, no, I fucking deserve. Like I used to be eating motherfucking canned vegetables for dinner and shit like that, and I deserve to have this and I deserve to have that, and whatever. Now what I will say is that sometimes like when it comes to love, probably, and much more when I was younger, I didn't have a great self-worth. I think now I do, like with maturity and life experiences. I'm like, no, I'm not dealing with that bullshit. Like, I remember I told Ruben when we went on our little brunch, it wasn't a date because we had no intention of dating, but I literally told him, like, yeah, I'm in a relationship, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to break up with him, and I'm okay with being single for the rest of my life. Because I was just like, it's just never going to happen. Because I'm never going to lower my standards or my self-worth, and a man is never going to come along, that's what I thought at the time, that was going to show me that he was worth my time, or worth my self-worth, right? Of like saying, this is what I deserve. So yeah, it always depends on the topic in some instances of like your self-worth.
I think the older I've gotten, and I'll get to self-confidence, but I think the older I've gotten, like my self-worth has to be, like that cup has to be full in every single aspect of my life in order for like my self-worth to be solid. So like if I, like to your point, if I have a lot of self-worth in like career or family or whatever, but like it's lacking in relationships, I feel like that's going to show itself in other arenas of life, if not in the in the romantic space. It's almost like you have to make sure all of those cups are full so that they can be stronger and more stable for like to navigate the shit that comes with life. So to me then it's, you know, important to put in like work to make sure you always have that self-worth.
I will say though, some people are, you met these women, they're bossy as fuck, they make good money, they and then they boyfriends be trash, they fiancés be trash, and they be taking whatever.
If you watch Being Mary Jane, I feel like she's the epitome.
So it's like your self-worth and work and all this other stuff is here, and then when it comes to love and relationships, you don't think people can have like a lot of self-worth in one aspect but not in another?
I think I definitely think they can, but like if I use the example of in some instances with like Mary Jane, because she didn't have that strong self-worth in other aspects, it then spilled over into like, then she would be like fucking her coworker at work and putting her job on the line, even though she has self-worth when it comes to that. Like it may spill over into these other, it's like if you think of like the foundation, if one leg off of a stool is kind of broken or shaky, that chair is still not that stable. I'm not saying you can't function. I feel like it's a lot of people, depending on what year you ask me, I can't say that my self-worth has been equal in like every aspect of my life. But I think it's important to try and have it there. Like you can still be productive and, you know, maybe you are good at not being able to show where in what area the self-worth lacks. But I don't necessarily think I think you would want it to be equal in areas, I would say. At least for me. I can't speak on everybody.
I think that makes sense. I just don't know if everybody is there.
No,
but I think that
and let me
sense.
say, I'm not there. Like, so, but I think it's something to at least attempt to shoot for.
Yeah. I think the older you get, the more you have an understanding of what you deserve and what you want in all aspects of your life. It takes life experience.
Yeah. The third word, or kind of define an action of self-confidence, to me, and I got this wording from Simhart, but to me, self-confidence is the external manifestation of your self-esteem and your worth. And I feel like that is how you show people how to feel or think about yourself. So it's almost like that if the other two are kind of internal or looking into you and like what you then work on yourself, I think that's then reflected in your self-confidence. And I think when people look at you, I think they see your self-confidence before they may see your self-esteem, you know, depending on how that looks on you and on individual people. I also feel like confidence is something that you can exude without ever like opening your mouth. It's just kind of like, you know, if you've ever seen, it's like, man, she just has confidence, or man, he just has confidence. And it's probably because of how they view themselves and how they think it. And not only do they think it, they believe it about themselves, or can at least show it, or are good at faking it. Because sometimes I be having to fake it till I make it. In some instances, and it's like,
I was about to say,
all right, let me just try and pretend to be, you know, pretend to be this way, but you
like
do
my
that so
life.
people don't, so people don't see you as, oh, she has no faith in what she's doing. You know, it's like, nope, I need to put on this.
Because your self-esteem and self-confidence don't always have to align. Like, there have definitely been where it's like, fuck, I suck at this, I suck at that, but everybody's like, oh my god, you did so great, or I really loved it, and I'm like, oh great, thanks. And I'm like, oh, I hated everything. Or like, when it comes to, and especially like being a plus size person or close to it now, well, I guess it's kind of weird because I used to be much bigger than I am now, and I've lost like 80 pounds, so I still think of myself as a big girl, but I am, because I'm a size 14, and apparently a size 14 in America is plus size. But I say all that to say,
of a woman.
I mean, whatever. But whether I was 80 pounds heavier or now, my confidence has been the same, but my self-esteem has not been the same. Like, my self-esteem when I was bigger,
break that down.
I hated my body, and I still don't like everything about my body, but like when I was bigger, although I loved me and I had self-worth, I hated, quote unquote, the body that I was in. But my confidence was always like, I would like, a part of my life I had a food and fashion blog, and I was like in plus size fashion, and I was like, I'm gonna make this fashionable. I'm gonna wear the latest trends. I'm gonna wear fucking halter tops. I don't care if y'all see this belly, whatever. And people loved it. They were like, oh my god, Nina, you have so much confidence. So, like they do Lizzo, like, oh my god, you're so progressive and so brave. Just by living my life.
How can you post that? You're so brave.
Right.
I hate it. Oh my god.
And internally, I was just feeling like I was like, am I attractive to people? Am I disgusting? Are people looking at me? Whenever I was eating in public, I would like have feelings that people were judging me for what I was eating. But outside, everybody's like, oh, you're so confident, you're so cute, you dress so pretty and cute, and you're so trendy, and and I kept a nigga, so that was never an issue. But internally, I really did not like myself, and so I mean, clearly it wasn't all about the weight, but because of how society treats fat people like me, it definitely played a part. But my self-confidence and my self-esteem did not align. And it's a really weird, awkward place to live in. And I think that people would say the same for Lizzo, right? Because we were just discussing about how Lizzo, like, she did some type of cleanse.
We're also talking about this pre-recording.
Yes, we were. Exactly. This is why I wanted to save it for the show. Duh. But she was doing some cleanse, and people were like, oh, is she not a part of the plus size community anymore? Is she just doing this? Is she doing that? And then I saw a video of her like really down on herself a few days ago, where she was saying that she, some of the comments were getting to her and that her self-esteem was being affected. But the world sees her as this confident figure, and, so again, so brave and all this stuff. It's like a real mind fuck.
And then they also, and again, I think it's, for her, the unique aspect of being a celebrity is they also then put that on her to be the spokesperson of like body positivity, almost as if she is not even allowed to have those feelings, in a sense of like, or even it's like, if she wants to lose weight or does something that makes her lose weight, then it's like, is she now anti-body positivity, or now she's like being fat phobic because she's fat and wants to lose weight? Or is it, it's like all these things are then put on her that other people are forcing her to make a decision that she may not even know the answers to those questions right now. And it's like, but then as a celebrity, you're then like, I can't imagine having to deal with the ups and downs of self-esteem and then being put in front of, like, for the world to see, or to have to have a fucking opinion on.
No, I mean, that's brutal. And it's crazy because I think about I was talking to my sister. Me and my sister are very similar. Her name is Darla. I love her. She's amazing. She's getting a PhD. She delivered her own baby this summer. She's amazing. And we're so similar. And I was telling her, she was like, oh, she called me and she was like, oh, how was your week? I haven't asked you about the job because y'all know I just started a job. And I was like, well, last week was kind of tough. I was feeling kind of down on myself because I made a mistake. But this week I did something really awesome. And my boss told me, you know, that I was making his life easier. So I feel better, and that affected my mood. And so it's funny because we were talking about, because the same thing that we do from confidence, where people are like, oh my God, you're so great. For me, when people, especially at work, because I'm a workaholic, I'm really good at what I do. And I've made a name for myself because of that. But for me, what proves to me that I've done a good job is when people say, oh my God, Nina, we're so happy that you're here, or that you are a part of this.
Affirming you. Yeah.
Exactly. Because that is what I've been taught, which is fine. I don't think it's anything wrong with that. But those affirmations for me shift my mood so much. Like, it's like, although I know I'm helping, I like to hear, oh, Nina, you're helpful.
Yeah.
Not that I deserve a cookie, but I like to hear that. Oh, I really sincerely,
the affirmation of it.
Yeah, glad that you helped me solve this problem.
Yeah, you know, it's weird. So we have development talks of, like, you know, performance reviews or whatever, and so I just had mine, and it's funny of even like that needing for me it's kind of split, because it's like I like to be affirmed in that way, but I'm still my biggest critic. So sometimes, like, my self-esteem can kind of fall into there of, like, I had multiple colleague reviews and, like, my manager and everything of, like, you're doing amazing taking this program, you know, it didn't exist before you got here, and now it's, like, well known across all this stuff, blah, 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 blah. But in the back of my mind, because I know that I haven't performed of what I could be, like, just because of 2020 has been 2020, it's like I still don't feel that way, even though every single person who should be saying something good about me is saying it. It's because it's like, and I feel like we've talked about it, of dealing, like, my mediocre is other people's best.
Yes.
So it's, you know, so it's like, it's frustrating when it's like, yes, I know. And, like, I say that very humbly, but, like, there are so many things I could have done if my brain was, like, functioning full power the way it was prior to being in a pandemic. So even in that, it's like, in that scenario, nothing they could have said would have been able to impact my self-esteem in a positive way, because I still think it's like, at the end of the day, everybody knows I love that saying. At the end of the day, like, my opinion of me matters most, and that can be a good thing or a bad thing. Like, in this instance, it's a bad thing.
I'm the exact
so even when
way.
you said that, and I also separately, we don't have to go into this on the show, but I recently redid my love languages and realized that words of affirmation is at the top of, like, what I need to feel loved or appreciated. So yeah, no, I definitely get that.
I've definitely always felt like I'm always harder on myself than other people are. Like, people could tell me, Nina, you're so great. And I know that they mean it, because it's not just people gassing me. They're like, Nina, you literally helped me change my life or whatever. I say that humbly. And I love doing it because I love that adrenaline of knowing that I changed somebody's life. And I know that sounds weird, but that's probably why I'm in public service. And that's probably why I love working for the government, even though I could absolutely make more money.
You found a way to
myself
help people even not liking to interact with people as much in, like, a social way. So you, like, it makes sense. People's lives are going to
change because of my work, right? And that makes me feel good, you know. And so it's weird because my sister always makes fun of me because she's like, you know how there's, like, tweets that's like, all y'all bitches got imaginary haters. Like, there's literally nobody hating on you. So every time I make a status on Facebook that's like, oh, who thought this little girl from the east side of Detroit would blah, 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 or, oh, I moved to LA with $500 in a dream. My sister always comment like, girl, everybody knew you was gonna make it. Like, please stop. Like, you capping. And I'm like, damn, Darla, like, let me live. Because the few people, and I do mean few people in my life that have ever given me friction about anything I've ever done, I hold on to that feeling. Like, the boy in 4th grade who told me I was the same color as dirt is still on my hit list. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's like a handful of people in my life. Everybody else in my life is like,
what's baby girl from Game of Thrones who had the list? Not Sansa.
It was Arya.
Arya, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like Arya, exactly. And so, like, my sister would be like, or somebody on Facebook, I had said something, and they were like, well, Nina, we always knew you were gonna like be successful. Like, it was something like that, where I was like, oh, who would have thought, that I'd be here now or winning this award or whatever. And people like, we all did. We literally all were.
Who would have thought you would have gotten to Harvard? Bitch, you was the valedictorian.
Yeah, it's like stuff like that, and I'd be like, okay, I gotta chill. But the affirmations mean so much to me that the negative comments impact me sometimes even longer. Is the point that I'm trying to get to.
Or the negative comments become like personal vendettas that you have to go after.
Like I took it personal. Like it was fucking.
I took that personal. Yeah, MJ.
Yeah, MJ.
I took that personal. No, I can.
Sports reference.
Look at you.
I know.
No, I can relate to that because there's definitely some people on my list. Yeah. Do you think that? And I guess I feel like we're similar in a sense. Do you think that any part of your self-esteem or worth or confidence is tied to? Because we talked about like how other people's best is like are mediocre, whatever. Do you think perfectionism ties into what drives any of these things? Because I mean, I'm assuming. Do you feel like you're a perfectionist?
This is an interesting question for an Aquarius, and I know y'all are probably tired of hearing us talk about fucking zodiac signs. But Aquariuses or Aquarii we're like messy but not nasty. Does that make sense?
Yes, perfectly.
Like, so I'm not a perfectionist. Like, I will make spelling errors and have read it 30 times, and yes, okay, bitch, you ain't have to. Okay, now you're on my list. Now you're on my fucking list.
Mispronunciations of words. Because we ain't gonna talk about what we were doing before we started recording.
You're on my fucking list.
All right, spell my name right, bitch.
Anyway, so I'm not a perfectionist. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm not a perfectionist in the sense that I'm not a Virgo, but
or a Capricorn. What do you consider like when you have visions of things? Because I've watched you plan an event, and to me that gives off
grandiose visions. Visions.
Particular perfection. It's like this not right. This not part of my vision. This not the color shade of what I was looking for. Like maybe that's why I'm getting like perfectionist vibes of
right. When I have a vision, like I need that vision to come to life. Now like every single thing in the background to make that vision come to life may not be perfect, but once you see the vision, you're gonna be overwhelmed by how great it is. And that's honestly my career, because like I'll be like, I have an idea, like especially at work, I'll be like, I have an idea, let me explain it to you. And I've always been really good at explaining, because my writing is very matter of fact. Like I'm not a person who likes to write a lot or write, what's the word that I'm looking for?
Descriptive?
Yeah, like
can paint a picture with your words,
or like, I'm not gonna write a novel, but I'm really good at writing a report. You know what I'm saying? Like I like very succinct. This is fact. This is what the consequence will be. Yeah, for blah blah blah. And once I start talking, people see it and they're inspired. But reading it on paper has never been like my thing. Like when I get into, if you get me into an interview, I'm killing the interview. Like point blank period. And you'll see my resume, which is bullet points, which is great. I hate cover letters because I don't like all that flowery shit. Like I don't like all that flowery writing. So that's what I mean. Like I'm messy, not dirty. So like I'm not a perfectionist, but I also have a very specific vision when I do task, which is what has contributed to like my success in my field, because people see the vision and I make it. And also when you're like this, you have to actually pay off. Like you can't just have a vision and a shitty product. Like my product is always good.
Yeah. I think I'm definitely a perfectionist because if everything even behind the scenes has to be right. I think I'm a perfectionist in a sense of the way in which things are done has to be right, has to be the most efficient, has to be the most calculated, thought about. Like, that's just kind of how my brain works. But I saw this post on somebody's story on Instagram, and it said perfectionism is a commitment to habitual self-doubt.
That's
And
deep,
that
because
shit
ain't nobody got
hit
time for all that.
Yeah, because it is a constant, like, am I doing this? Like, even when I think of like what I'm thinking about when I'm kind of in my perfectionist mode, it's definitely like, did I do this right? Let me double check. Let me make sure. Like, it's definitely tied to what I'm doing and making sure that it's right. Because even if it's, I'm doing something for work and my name is on it. So because it's my name, it has to be perfect. It has to be right. It has to be whatever. And then just thinking of like the habitual self-doubt is not good for any type of self-esteem or self-confidence. So it's almost like a habitual cycle of question. It's like a constant questioning your self-confidence. You know, like on Netflix, are you still watching? Yes. Are you still confident? Yes. Are you still confident? Yes. And you constantly have to reconfirm that with yourself, as opposed to just like being on cruise control of like, yes, I'm confident, I believe it, and every single day I believe that, and I don't have to constantly re-ask myself or like reevaluate it. What do you think contributes to your self-worth?
To my self-worth, well, that's the foundation. So I think for me it was mostly how I think how I grew up, and like how, despite how I grew up, I've been able to make something out of nothing. Like that ability to survive, I think has established my self-worth, because it's like, if I could get through that, you can't do shit to me. You know, like there's literally so many things I can pull from my life that I've never even talked about, where I'm like, if I survive that, you good. Like, you not about to break me. And so therefore I'm like, my self-worth is just, it's stable. What about you?
That makes sense. I think it's definitely tied to your environment. So I think if you have a nurturing environment, it may show up. And not saying one is right and one is wrong to get you like a high self. I just think that these are factors that can impact it, whether positively or negatively. But your environment, knowing, and I think this may be particular, at least I can say for me, like particularly like being raised, like being black and being raised as being black in a world that sees you as black, is like understanding your morals, values, purpose, and like who you are separate from what the world sees you as. Because even with like, and I've dealt with like being teased for having darker skin, like all that type of stuff, I always knew in the core of like, there is nothing wrong with me being black, and I am, even before Black Girl Magic, I always thought like I'm magic because I'm black, or like I'm, you know, that's never any, no one has ever made me feel or made ashamed. Me believe ashamed or less than for being black, of like, what, like my, you know, just the whole nature of it is definitely tied to that. And then that kind of being reinforced of like, I'm around black people, black, you know, things like that. I feel like that definitely set the foundation of self-worth. And then knowing of like, even growing up, it was like, do you know you are so-and-so's grandchildren? Of like, you are so-and-so's grandchild, or you are in this family. It's like, that kind of puts that self-worth of like, oh, I am somebody because I am somebody's, you know, child or grandchild, or, you know, child of God, whatever it may be for a person. But I definitely think you should I feel like self-worth is one of those things very important to have at the youngest age possible, and to like build on it throughout the rest of your life. I think it's not impossible to gain self-worth as you get older. I just think more elements kind of then come into it, just because, you know, you really believe and absorb what you see, for the most part, not everybody, when you're a child. So I think those things kind of contribute to, or at least the foundational things that can contribute to your self-worth.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. What about, like, what impacts your self-esteem? Like, I know you talked about, oh, my eyebrows or...
My eyebrows.
Is there anything
I long
else?
for an arch. What impacts my self-esteem? I feel like it depends on the day. It depends on, I don't know, I would say society.
Yeah.
Or, because not to say like, oh, society tells me what to think about myself, but it definitely weighs into it depending on your location. So like, let's say you are, what's the different? Like, let's say, you know how depending on where you are in the world, like some body shapes or things like that are more acceptable, or variations of it are more acceptable. So if you're, or even not body shape, but like if you are tall and you play basketball, then your height, even as a girl, is like going to be cheered and revered. So you may have higher self-esteem, as opposed to if you didn't play a sport and it like you weren't congratulated or cheered about something like that as a kid. That could be seen as something to pick on. Now I feel like the internet plays a part, just because you have access. So maybe you can lump that into like media, or I guess that could be society too. Your thoughts, I don't know, your subconscious, whatever type of information you take in can probably affect your self-esteem too.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think the outside world has a lot to do with one's self-esteem, because society is constantly telling you what's acceptable and what's likable, and that doesn't always affect my
even if you don't believe
confidence. Right. I mean, right, exactly. Because there could be things like, oh, if I don't have long 3C curly hair, I'm not attractive. So I'll look in the mirror and I'm like, well, I do like my hair, but oh man, what if I did have 3C curls? Would I look even better? Would I be even more attractive? Would I be even... But when I walk out the house, I'm like, I'm a bad bitch with my kinky, curly, curl pattern. But you know, inside you may be thinking differently. Or I could watch a music video and be like, dang, she got a flat stomach. I wish I had a flat stomach. But you know, these roles gonna get seen. You know what I'm saying? In summertime shy. So yeah, I think society definitely has a lot to do with self-esteem, at least for me personally. But you know, sometimes I have to check myself and say, well, why do you want to look like that? Is it because the Kardashians look like that? Because the Kardashians look like black women, but they're not black women, but you are a black woman, so it's not going to be perceived. You know, like you literally go down that rabbit hole. Are you actually
interested in the niggas who find that attractive to even want, like, if that's even desirable? Like, who are those people you even want to be desired by? Like,
right. It's all sorts of stuff. And then also society is always telling women how to be women. Not that there's so many different versions of women. There are more masculine women. There are more feminine women. There are women with more masculine features and who grow hair on their face and have broad shoulders. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many different variations of womanhood. But growing up, if you don't fit into that box, you're constantly, like I was, constantly questioning myself. Like, oh my God, I'm not worthy, or I don't deserve to have these things. And then because of how I grew up though, and because my self-worth is a certain way, exuding a self-confidence that doesn't match my self-esteem, like, again, for survival, because it's like, if these girls know that you don't like yourself, then, or girls or people, right, they're gonna take advantage of it. So it was like survival again, because my self-worth is tied to my ability to survive. And so, yeah, it's just like, that's deep. I'm gonna write that in a book, in my memoir.
Yeah. No, I'm sitting here like, I'm processing it all too. I had a question. I may have to come back to it when you talked about the self-esteem and self-confidence. Yeah. I think too, where do you now you kind of talked about like the origin, but now where does your confidence come from? Or like when you need to, when you like, I'm feeling like I'm a little bit on E right now, like where do I pull this from? Or how do you I guess it's kind of twofold. Like, are you running on the same confidence that you had when you were a teenager? Or is it like you formed it and it kind of regrew as to like, now I got my adult confidence on.
Yeah, I definitely think I have my adult confidence.
Me too.
Because I think my confidence when I was younger was mostly based on like I'm really smart, even though I didn't feel that smart. But I think now my confidence exudes all throughout my life, like work, home, love life, friendships. Like my confidence comes from and like I said, that's why I say it comes with more wisdom, because the more you experience life and the more you're like, actually, I'm doing this life shit right, the more your confidence comes through.
Or you realize don't nobody know what the fuck they doing.
They ain't doing exactly the thing. You like, man, fuck this shit.
Right,
like,
y'all,
I can tell
y'all had me thinking
it was hard as hell.
Y'all been winging this shit too.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially when you realize your parents are just people, and that when you were your parents' age, they had 3 kids, and you like, if I had 3 kids right now, they all be fucked up. And look at y'all. You know,
look, I be apologizing for not taking the chicken out the freezer 20 years ago. Like, I get it now. Like, I should have took the chicken out. I would have choked me if I was you too.
Like, could you imagine me trying to raise a baby right now? I would fuck that baby up. I would fuck that baby up.
You trying to raise.
So, I definitely think my self-confidence just comes from trial and error, and then being like, oh, I didn't fall for that again. Or, oh, I did something really good. Oh, I paying my bills on time. Oh, snap, I went from paying my bills on time to all them bitches on auto pay. Like, it's little stuff like that where it's like, oh, I'm doing this shit right. And my confidence is more boosted.
Dang, you on auto pay? I'm still a little conspiracy about that. I still gotta press the button myself. I gotta press the button myself.
I'm auto pay on every bill I have. It's a blessing. That's a humble brag. That's really, if y'all knew how I grew up, that's a blessing. I literally wake up and walk through my house sometimes. I'm like, I'm blessed. Let me stop playing myself.
I'm still blessed.
And then there's other days though where I feel like completely shit, and I'm like, I have accomplished nothing. I have saved no lives. I do not have a Nobel Peace Prize, and life is fucking awful. It just depends.
I think similar to you, I definitely see confidence as like, I got my adult confidence came in the mail probably when I was like 29 and a half. Not gonna hold you up. And now I'm wearing the fuck out of that shit now. I think when I was younger, similar to you, like I tried to base my confidence in very not shallow, but like superficial things or things that didn't matter. So like I did get good grades, and I definitely thought like, I'm smart, I'm this because I get good grades. The flip side of that is then entering Michigan engineering and failing shit, and it's like, whoa, now I have an issue, or like things tied to my resume, or if I won awards and things like that, or when I first started working, it was tied to like performance reviews or any aspect of my life, whatever was used to like quote unquote judge. I kind of based my confidence on that, even if I had no say in like what the judging criteria was, in a sense. It's like, oh, if I got an A, that means I'm good. If I got an F, that means I'm bad. Even if I did my best and studied, and did whatever. Versus now, I think my confidence is like rooted in facts. Like facts I know to be true. So to the point, I know I'm worthy of love. I know I'm worthy of respect. That's a fact. It's not up for debate. It's not up for anything. It's not someone's opinion. It's not even my opinion. It's a fact. Like, therefore, it is true. And I think, too, for me, like my own self-development and like self-understanding of myself. And even now, like we both talk about how we're being in therapy, but like understanding who I am, how I tick, like why I think the way I think, how things in my past influence how I am now. It's like I know myself and I know what I can do and I know what I'm capable of, and I think it's an element of like trusting myself in that then that tends to present a confidence that it's harder to like waver. if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because those things are like etched
it's like
in
a brick
stone.
house instead of a straw house.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely I'm a brick house.
Oh my God.
That's immovable in that way. And I think that then is kind of evident then when I walk into a room, like then that becomes what it exudes, and it's like, oh no, like that's just a confident bitch. Like that's how you describe me. It doesn't change. It's not just just on today, this bitch is confident. It's like nope, that's what it is. But that definitely came with age, or even getting sick of the feeling of not having high self-esteem or whatever. It's like I'm sick of feeling this way. I see other people and they're confident. I want to feel like that. What do I got to do to constantly feel like that about myself? Sometimes it's hard to shake though. Yeah. I mean, that's a harder pep talk of being like, okay, just be like other people. It's like easier said than done. Yeah. Or even having, I think you could agree, like for the most part, we have a solid, I mean, our friend groups largely overlap, but like we have a solid positive friend group. Yeah. That even, and you know how you say like, don't listen to what other people say or believe what other people say. But sometimes I have to just believe the people that love me and what they say, even when I don't believe it about myself.
Yeah. People that you trust.
Even that's like a reinforcement. Yeah.
If I don't love and respect you, then your opinion doesn't matter to me that much. Like it holds a lot less weight than somebody like my sister. Like it was funny because when my sister called me, we were talking about it, talking about this topic and like, how for both of us getting those affirmations from work, blah, blah, blah. But I also was telling her like a lot of my drive is like, I need to make Darla proud because she raised us and she, like she took care of us, and the least I could do is for what she sacrificed. Because Darla taught us how to go to college. She went to Michigan first. She struggled being not a first generation college student, because my mom actually, she did go to college and has a college degree. But being that my mom was in prison at the time, my sister went to college without my mom there. And my aunt who raised us did not go to college. So that's what I mean by like, although Darla's not first generation college student, it felt like it was. She was doing the FAFSA and asking questions and trying to figure out what she needed to put. And my mom was in prison, so what do you put when your parents are, like stuff like that. And she taught me and Darla and me and Charles that. And I always appreciate that. She sacrificed a lot for us. So I always think like, I want to make them proud. Like I want to make her proud specifically. Yeah.
So. You know what? I've been, and this is recent because this is pulled off of Lovecraft Country, but like that scene where they were like in the ancestral plane, and just like the idea of being able to talk to and like see the various ancestors of like, those saying, I am my ancestors' wildest dreams. Sometimes I have to level set myself to your point of like when you walk around your house and you're like, I did all of this for me, like see how far I've come. Sometimes it's almost like in my perfectionist mode of like, but still look at how far like your lineage has come, in a sense of, like how can I ever feel not smart or not intelligent? Like my grandfather had a 3rd grade education. So all the things that got me like from him to me having 2 engineering degrees, like even things like that is like, you need to level set and realize what, if not you, what other people have done to get you where you are, and then use that to like drive towards your purpose, instead of this constant like, how dare I doubt myself when I'm capable of all of this. So that's usually my pep talk that I have to like kind of tell myself about myself. Like, girl,
that's me twice a day,
girl,
when I wake up and when I go to sleep. No, I'm playing. And one more thing I would be remiss to say is like, growing up, I didn't have a lot of self-confidence at all. But once I met, and I think I told some of the story on here, I met my partner when I was 16. Literally, he is the reason I have self-confidence. Like not the reason overall, but my first, I guess he was the catalyst. He was the catalyst of my self-worth. Like once he taught me I could be loved by somebody else, like he taught me love. Like I say that he taught me how to be loved and how to love. And even when we were broken up for 5 years and I never thought that we would ever get back together, I still would always be so thankful to him because he literally taught me love. Like his nickname for me is Gorgeous. And for those of you who know me, I have a gorgeous tattoo on my thigh. Tat. And I got that when I was in college, but yes, it's a little bit of a hood rat thing. But
make sure we
I
remind
love it. But I love my tattoo. I don't regret it. I love it because
I love what it means for you.
It was a manifestation of me taking what Ruben started and then owning it for myself. I am gorgeous.
Right.
This is mine. Like, whether Ruben was in the picture or not, like I said, we were broken up for a long time. I always was like, thank you for showing me how I could be loved and how I deserve to be loved. Now I own this. And I went into every other relationship knowing that I was worthy of love.
And look at how that turned full circle.
Yeah, he cool.
Yeah.
So like sometimes
don't be playing my boy Ruben.
It takes somebody showing you that you deserve to be loved, and not deserve and it doesn't even have to be romantic love, but that somebody in your life shows you are worthy of so much more than you think. And sometimes that person's romantic, sometimes that person's a friendship, sometimes that person is family. But for me, it was really Ruben. When I was 16, he really, I don't know, something about his love like just sparked it. And I haven't been able to tell anybody I'm not a bad bitch since. So it is what it is.
There you go. So even tied to, if you know me, I kind of keep quotes that I pick up or see in a note in my phone. But what you were saying tied into a quote that says, "Love yourself so that love will not be a stranger when it comes." And I feel like even that is tied to like just all of the the self words we've been talking about, esteem, worth, confidence, all of that. It's like you have to do that. Or even in your case with Ruben, he like showed you what that was. Not that you deserved it or he was the deciding factor if you deserved it or not, but he showed you what it was so that when it came around, even when he came back around, like you knew what it was. And you were not shocked by it. You were just like, "Oh, hey love, yep, you back, yep, you've been here before."
This is what it's supposed to feel like.
This is what it's supposed to be. So yeah, that made me think of I don't know what that quote is from, but
that's a really good quote.
It caught my ear. So this is just to kind of wrap up the conversation. Let us know. Feel free to write in or comment on when we post the different episodes on Twitter, on Instagram. For our listeners, like, what do you see as self-esteem, self-worth, or confidence, and kind of how do you where do those things come from, or kind of how do you define them? And let us know how you feel. This episode was produced by us and edited by Daner Cole. Our theme music is the track Same by Ricky Ells. Be sure to check it out on all streaming platforms. For questions, comments, feedback, or topic suggestions, hit us up at queentonepod@gmail.com. Be sure to also check us out and follow on Instagram and Twitter @queentonepod. Thanks for listening.